So today I wanted to talk about work-life balance. I think it's a very funny topic. So thanks for listening. Welcome back to Unlocked. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because, I just came back from doing one of our regional meetings where we get together, and it's like every 3 months. So there was maybe 700 or 1,000 people. And I had the pleasure and the opportunity to, a lot of people ask me questions, and, I've been in the business that I'm in for 7 years now, in this industry, direct selling and all that. And so I get the chance I'm probably one of the people that have been around the longest in this group, right? Because it's a big turnover industry. And work-life balance is just a question that people ask a lot, especially nowadays with so much mental health going on and so much awareness around anxiety. There's all these things. And I'm from Spain. When I hear people talk about PTSD is I think it's actually a military thing. But people have all these ADHD, all these things they get diagnosed that doesn't exist in Spain. I don't know if these things never crossed the Atlantic Ocean, but like people just don't get diagnosed with that. Maybe because there's no medicine to pay for it, and therefore you just don't get the diagnosis. And so there you either live like destroyed, or maybe it just doesn't exist. I don't know. And I'm not a doctor. But what I can tell is that, people place a lot of focus around that, and then it ends up going to work-life balance. And I was listening to a podcast also by Layla Hermosi, and she talked about that when she was 18 years old. She was depressed, and she was feeling anxiety, and she was 100 pounds overweight. And her parents, or her dad specifically, sent her to a psychiatrist. And she got diagnosed on a 20-minute phone call with 5 things. And they gave her 5 different medications. And she said, no, I'm fine. I'm just depressed because my mom was trying to kill herself. And that did make me sad. And that's nothing wrong with being sad about that. And bringing it back to work-life balance, it's what gets typically hit on the most. And I think nowadays it's a little more normal, and at least in the circle I'm in, to work hard and to work more. But it's also very, sometimes you have to be careful when people work more than 40 hours a week, which is insane because 40 hours a week is less than 25% of the actual hours available in a week. And it's considered a full-time job. So a couple of questions that people are asking me, and they're like, hey, well, how do you balance personal life? And I like to start by saying that the word balance, I think, is the wrong word to use. I think it's an okay question. And I think what people want to ask is, hey, can I be successful at work, extremely successful, and at the same time being extremely successful and present with my family or friends? I think that's really the question they want to ask, and people don't know to ask it that way. And I think the answer is yes, because when people ask for work-life balance, I think in their head what they're imagining is they're imagining a 24-hour period. They're imagining a 16-hour period. After they wake up, there's a time to work and there's a time to not work, and that has to be balanced. And and again, it comes from really the same mindset of thinking long-term. People can't think long-term. And Alex Hermosi, I remember him also speaking about opening or starting a YouTube account and started filming. And he told the guy that was recording, like, hey, I'm not looking to build a brand, or I'm not looking to really make any money from this. Just let me know how I'm doing after 10 years. And it's like the stretch of somebody that's thinking 10 years ahead is the key to this, I believe. So I think people need to think about work-life balance, or what works for me. It's like I was very unbalanced at the beginning, out of balance at the beginning of my career. I'm 31 now. So probably from 23 to 28, I was probably working very out of balance and working the majority of my day. To be honest, there was not much else for me to do that was productive. And I still had a lot of room for unproductive stuff, and I still had a drink here and there, or watch TV here and there, or learned how to do, or traveled and stuff. But the majority of my time was spent working. The majority of my mental space was spent working. There was not much balance. And then you look 5 years after that, or 4 years after that now, and I find a lot more balance personally. I'm in a different season of life, and I have kids, I'm married and all that, but my work doesn't require as much of me as it used to. Now, can I still work? Yes. Can I still hit goals? Yes. But I think people need to use like at least a 5-year time frame or a 10-year time frame when they do think of balance. I think balance, again, is the wrong word. But if you are thinking of work-life balance, you need to think, hey, what am I willing to trade? And that's a great question to ask yourself if you're going through a transitional period, or again, maybe just the workplace is expecting so much of you. And a lot of times people quit because they have like an expectation that's different. And I think you just have to ask yourself, what am I willing to trade? And I think a lot of people would answer that question positively, even though that doesn't reflect in the workplace. I think a lot of people leave businesses because they're expected to work a lot, and really not necessarily to work a lot. They're just expected to perform at a high level, which for an inexperienced person takes a long time. But people with experience can work at a high level without spending that much time because of their level of experience, which you only get with time. So it's a paradox. But the point is, I think if you ask people instead of, hey, do you want a 9-to-5 work-life balance job? And people say yes to that. If you ask people, hey, do you want to work 12 hours a day? People would say no. But I believe that, or a lot of people would say no. But I believe that if you ask people, hey, would you be willing to trade the next 36 months, the next 24 months, the next 3-5 years of your life, working a lot more than usual, a lot more than, you're going to have to lower your social status around, some of the people that you surround yourself with for the next 3 to 5 years to be able to earn twice the salary than the average American? I think a lot of people would answer yes to that. And then therefore they would be more prepared to go into that season of working a lot more. And that's the person that you would tell them they're out of balance, so they work a lot. However, that's the person that 5 years later has a lot more flexibility or freedom of time where they can actually decide what they want to do with their time. So I believe that work-life balance isn't a myth. I believe that it's a good term, but I do believe the frame that people look at it through is a 24-hour time frame. I think that's what's wrong. I think people need to look at it like in a year. If you were willing to work, 7 years of your life at an extremely high level with an average of 60, 70, 80 hours a week, but then you were able to earn freedom of choice, financial peace for the rest of your life and career, I think a lot of people would take that trade and they would do it, pridefully. They would do it proudly because it's a good trade and it's very, very balanced. Working 7 years of your life really hard to earn financial peace for the rest of your career, unless obviously, you make different decisions, then that is a really good trade. It's actually really balanced. It's actually heavily balanced on the personal side more than it is on the work side. And I believe some of the laziest people are some of the hardest working people today because they know they want to rest later. So that's my take. I think work-life balance is good. I think the frame is wrong. And if you're thinking about this, or your family or your friends, they're maybe critiquing you on working too much, or, working extra on a holiday, or trying to work on a Saturday or whatever, I think you might be being judged by somebody that has a 24-hour frame versus a career frame or a 10-year frame. So hopefully that helps, and I'll see you in the next one.